Let's face it, sales funnels, marketing copy, direct response funnels, if I see another flippin' headline or another copycat sales funnel again, I'm gonna blow a lid. Now that AI has completely democratized the ability to create sales pages and websites, what happens when everyone has a site that ultimately looks and sounds the same? Well, the answer is pretty simple. You gotta go a step further and you gotta let your creativity run wild. Now imagine if you have an offer, if you have something like a high ticket sales offer that you're doing, or even if you're selling a product, what if you created an immersive experience that takes people into your brand's world and creates a sense of anticipation before they are about to buy from you? In marketing, one of the most powerful things you can do is create something that's hyper personalized to your consumer, but also create a sense of anticipation. And so what I'm going to show you in this video is how to create an interactive sales funnel that guides people through an experience that they damn sure well have never seen before. You'll be able to create this for yourself or for your clients and create things that people are not doing yet. This is ultimately one of the best times to be a creative or a marketer in today's day and age, because this industry is due for disruption. So this video is a demonstration of what's possible, and I want you to take it, run with it, and make it 100 times better. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so you can see here, this is the opening page. All right, do not enter unless you're willing to unlearn everything you've ever been taught about high ticket sales. So this is effectively a sales page teaching high ticket sales and persuasion. And so you can see here, we've got classified, we've got office of growth, etc., etc. Now I'm going to hit the button and click proceed. And so we reveal the framework. We click access the dossier. And then we can now read the briefing. Okay, and now people are going through a briefing and they can read each step of the sales letter and then ultimately apply for access. They fill out the input, they click apply, application received, and then burn after reading. Okay. So you can see that is a new type of sales page that we just created. It's in a cinematic experience that takes people through something that their brain just hasn't ever seen before. Now, there is actually a thought process behind this whole thing. It's understanding that people's brains are attracted by novelty. When they see something that they've never seen before, you have got their attention. All right. So taking them through an experience like this changes the game when it comes to sales pages, right? So that's the step-by-step funnel we've created for this application. And it follows this process, the interactive cinematic sales funnel, the sequence that moves high ticket buyers from attention to action. So what you'll notice in that sequence that I took people through was I got them in with a pattern interrupt hook. The design of the page also created a sense of curiosity. Then we took them into the page and actually created an immersive cinematic movement using a video. So immediately when people saw that digital home, they're like, okay, there's a bit of curiosity here. They want to see more. So they click the button, then it reveals the mechanism. And then we give them an invitation to read the page. And we say specifically, if you don't have the capacity to read this page, you might as well exit right now. And so I love getting people, especially when it comes to high ticket sales funnels, I actually get people to jump through hoops first, because it disqualifies anyone who does not have the attention span to read the page, because frankly, I don't want to work with you if you're not willing to commit to read a few pages. So we get them to go through the process, the copywriting is dialed in, and then we get them to commit, confirm the decision, apply, and then ultimately there's a fun sort of ending to it. Okay, so that is the mechanism and the framework behind creating these interactive funnels, which I'm going to show you how to create in just a second. Okay, so in order to create this, what you do need first and foremost is copy. Okay, so you need copywriting for your actual sales page. So this is a demo bit of copy that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. Now, this copy was written using the Copy Coach tool. Okay, so I just selected sales page here and I went through this process. It helped me write out the copy for my sales page. I tweaked it a little bit and then I got this outcome. So go through it, write your sales page, and you can get unlimited access to this tool inside of our school community. Okay, so once you've got your copy, you're then going to open up these prompts. Okay, so this is a step-by-step prompting process, which is going to help you take your long form sales copy and use the framework that I've just shown you to break it down into a few simple steps. So I'm going to take this prompt and I'm going to go into Claude. You can use any AI platform you ultimately want. I'm going to drop it in there and I'm going to attach my sales letter. Okay, so I'm attaching this sales letter and I'm going to send it. Now, what this prompt is doing is it's saying, look, I'm going to give you a direct response sales letter and I want you to turn it into an interactive high ticket funnel, a new kind of sales experience the reader steps through deliberately rather than scrolls past. The reader's journey follows a 6-beat narrative arc, and that's what I just showed you over here. So effectively, the way that we create this experience is I use AI to help me brainstorm the different steps of the funnel, and then we'll use AI to help us create the image prompts so we can actually start animating it and start creating this video experience. Because you can see this is also triggered by a scroll, so it's completely interactive from every step of the process. And it just makes people go, what? I ain't never seen anything like this before. We're just going to let this break down our sales copy, and then we're going to move into the remaining prompts. So you can see here that Claude has broken down the actual sales page copy and has suggested the different beats of our cinematic intro. So we've got the hook and the suggestions. We've got the second beat, which is the curiosity and what should happen next. We've got the reveal. We've got the invitation. We've got the commitment, and we've got the closure. All right, so I'm just going to have a little read through this, make sure it all makes sense, and then we're going to move into the next prompt. So the next prompt we're going to do is ultimately take this and start building out our visual world. All right, so you can see here that we had a very specific world that we were using, which was basically like Born Identity. We wanted it to feel like you were learning something that only a certain few people had actual access to, which is really true when it comes to this persuasion process. So we wanted people to feel like they were getting briefed by the flippin' CIA or something, right? So that matched the copy that we had for this page. So effectively what we're going to do now is just take the second prompt, and once you're happy with this, obviously you can tweak this and go back and forth with AI if you want. I'm going to drop this in, and it's going to help us now build out the visual world and what this ultimately is going to look like. All right, so you can see here that it started to create the world. Okay, so it's got this studillo. So you can see it started to surface what this actual world could ultimately look like. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into a storyboard and a visual identity so we can actually start creating the images next. Okay, so what this prompt is actually going to do is tell it, all right, you're a film director and creative strategist. You've been given a 6-beat narrative, and now I want you to turn this into a visual world by creating a prompt for a storyboard. All right, so this is what we're doing before we get into actual design is let's make the storyboard first. Okay, so the output that your AI is going to give you now is a prompt that we can drop into GPT Image 2 to create that initial storyboard and style reference of what our experience is going to feel like. Now, bear in mind, I'm doing very limited brainstorming right now and going back with AI, but you might look at this and say, this is completely off. Like create something super sci-fi if you want. Let's traverse through the planets. Let's make it feel more comic book style. Let's make it feel like Dragon Ball Z for flip's sake. All right, so you can tweak it and adjust it as much as you ultimately want. Okay, but we're just going to take this prompt now and we're going to go into Higgs field and we're going to choose GPT Image 2 and we're going to select 3 options, 16:9, 2K, and we're going to generate. Now, you can use GPT Image 2 in its actual chat if you want. That's absolutely fine. That way you don't have to sign up to Higgs field. The reason I'm using Higgs field right now is it's going to create 3 images for me simultaneously. When we're using GPT Image 2, we're creating them one by one, and that's fine. That's how I did this one initially and created these images that you can see here in the background. But for the purposes of this demo, I want to get a couple of iterations going. So I'm going to use Higgs field. Now, while this generates, you can see here that I have been iterating and iterating and iterating, and this is where I was creating my different scenes for the video I showed you earlier. Okay, so we created, like what does the actual briefing room look like? What does our system look like for the digital home? And so you can see how, I went through multiple iterations to ultimately get to what we've got here in the background. And then it was a case of creating the videos, which I'm going to be showing you in just a second. All right, so you can see here, we've now got our storyboards. Now I'm going to take my final prompt. So once the storyboard is locked, and obviously iterate as much as you want until you find something that you really like. I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to paste this. Now what it's going to do is turn the storyboard into a specific image prompt so we can actually start creating the different frames so we can move into video creation. Now, please bear in mind, guys, that this is just for demo purposes. I probably would want this to be a little bit more dynamic and exciting and whatever, but that's fine. Like this is ultimately going to look completely different for you guys, depending on the copy that you create for your sales page. All right, guys, so I've got my first frame over here. So I'm just going to go over over into Higgsfield, and I'm going to pop it over there, and I'm going to paste, send it, and then we should have our first page. And I can also run my second screen as well at the same time. All right, guys, so we've got our first image over here. We've got our second image over here. Now, again, bear in mind that this is just like a random piece of paper. You know, depending on the vibe of what we're doing here, that could work, or we could show a framework similar to what we've done over here. But just for the interests of this demonstration, I'm going to show you exactly what to do now. All right, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click Animate. I'm going to go to Seedance 2, Image Generations, or you can upload them if you're using GPT. I'm going to select the first image and the second image, which is essentially your starting frame and your ending frame. And I'm just going to say at image 1 equals starting frame, at image 2 equals end frame. I want you to animate the starting frame so the door opens and reveals an office inside, where the camera then lands on the second image and is static, pointing at the piece of paper on the table. Okay, so that's a relatively simple prompt. I'm going to go for 4 seconds. We don't want these to be too long, and we want this to be 16 by 9, and we're just going to hit animate over there. Now, what I have been doing with some of these, and you can see this is kind of my burn animation here that I used at the end. You can see this was my original animation that we used to create the first slide of the funnel. So you can see how I wrote the original prompt here specifically. Start frame, frosted glass, blah, 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 camera motion, atmosphere, style. Now, you can go into depth with that. That prompt specifically, I got AI to help me write, but you can also just do more simplistic prompts like this. And it is just going to be a case of iteration until the camera angles are doing the right things. Okay, so that was the first video, and it stops there perfectly. All right, so you can see the prompt there. Then what I did was I took the end frame of this starting video, I made that the starting frame of the next one, and then I added on the second one. So you can see here, it created then a second video that would then be triggered as I click the button, right? So that then is going to be baked into your coding agent. So it's the first video ends on that frame, and the second video starts on that frame. And then after that, you know, we then got into that interactive briefing mode. Okay, so we've got our first video back. So let's just take a look at it. Door opens, and then we're on to the letter. Okay. So that's working. Now what we need to do is just X off that first image. And now our first image is the second image of the first one. And then we've got to swap this image out now for the next end frame, which we haven't necessarily created yet. Okay, so you just pop your second image in there, you'd create your prompt, and then you've got your different videos, your 2 different videos, 3 different videos, however many you want. All right, so now that we have our first video, the door opens and we're into the first room. What I'm going to do is download this video into a project file on my machine. And I'm just going to say a new one called videos, and I'm going to save that. So there's a final prompt that I want you to do, which is basically the coding handoff brief. So this is essentially now going to take everything that we've done inside of our AI, and it's going to give us a handoff brief that we can then bring into Codex or Claude Code or whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to drop that into the same chat that was creating the initial image prompts for us, and it's going to give us a handoff prompt that we can pass over to our coding agent, then going to start building the experience. Okay, so our video is saved in our file, and now we've got our handoff brief for our coding agent. Okay, so we're simply going to copy this. We're going to go over to our coding agent. We're using Codex. You can use Claude Code. That's absolutely fine. This is inside the same project our video is saved in. I'm going to paste that. And all I'm going to do is make sure that my first video is labeled with this. Okay, so we got our first video there, and I'm just going to call it 01 to 02, and I'm going to copy that path name and I'm going to drop it over here, and we're going to send it. And so what that's going to do, it's going to get our coding agent working. And right now, because we've only done the first video, it should create the landing page, which is the first frame of our video, have a button on it, have an H1, and then when the person clicks that button, the video starts playing beautifully. And then what you can start doing is going out and creating the rest of your visual world. It can look like anything. It can be sunshine and rainbows. It can be Dragon Ball Z. It can be absolutely anything. And that's the beautiful thing about this process. Now, when I created this one in particular, it was multiple steps. Like, it actually took people through, like, 3 or 4 different videos but I really just wanted to simplify it to 2 videos only. Okay, so the prompts that I've given you here are ultimately going to give you 6 different beats. So those might be videos, it might be images, the way that we've done it. But ultimately, if you can go through the process and build something that hits the hook, curiosity, reveal, invitation, commitment, and closure, then you are going to be creating something unique to you. You're going to create something that your clients have literally never seen before. And so this really is a demonstration of what is now possible. And this is an experimental type of funnel that you can use to create really high-ticket immersive experiences for yourself or for your clients. And to me, this is the future of sales funnels and interactive web experiences for people. You know, soon we're going to be wearing glasses and actually going into someone's sales funnel and experiencing it that way. So always think about how can you create the best experience for your clients. And remember, at the end of the day, the core underlying philosophy is anticipation. If you can build anticipation through your copy, through the videos, through the imagery that you're using, you're going to be onto a winner. For example, just yesterday, one of our members took our concepts and our processes and built a platform that is now making $3,900 a month. So the processes that we're giving you guys inside of the community to help you build your digital home, as of which these immersive funnels are actually part of, that get people into your digital home first and foremost. So if you want to join a bunch of other people who are getting some insane results with these processes, then jump into the community and start building, my friend. All of the prompts that you saw inside of this demo are going to be inside of the community as soon as this video drops. So get inside and start building. I want to see what you create. This is honestly one of the best times to be a creative. The marketing industry and space is due for disruption. We don't have to create static, boring sales funnels anymore. We can imagine worlds and we can create immersive experiences that guide people through step by step into our funnel, closer into our energy orbit, so that they can get in touch with you and pay you money to help them with problems that you are qualified to solve.